myself. My name is Jimmy Gaspero. I'm the interview content editor for Comic Book Yeti. I'm here with Grant Stoye and Toben and Alaire. I want to make sure I say your last name right. Racicot. I'm excited to talk to everyone about Sidequest. Since I think I jumped in at issue 2 or 3 and then caught up on Sidequest. Extremely excited. I absolutely love it. And now you're just started the Kickstarter campaign for issue number 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so I guess to start, Grant, why don't, as the writer of Sidequest, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what Sidequest is about and a little tease as to where we are so far in the story.
I was actually thinking a lot about this last couple of days because it seems like everyone has a good way to describe what their story is about. They'll be like, "Oh, mine's about redemption. Mine's about perseverance," and this story is just mostly about escapism, because everything sucks kind of right now outside of our houses. And this story is just kind of a way to examine, is life really that bad that you need to escape it? How much do you allow yourself to revel in escapism and stuff? And I don't know. I wanted to tackle stuff that also involved identity and depression and stuff. And it's a lot more fun book than it sounds like. I promise.
These are all the underlying flavors.
True. So, how did the team come together? How did everybody come together for this
Grant.
story?
So we can all thank Reddit collectively.
Oh, yes.
That's true.
That's our origin story. Is we all gathered in a tavern on Reddit, and then the quest giver was there, and then that's how it began.
Was Grant one of the people that you got the script wrong?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the initial
That's
one.
how it started, yeah.
It was my first few jobs being a freelance comic artist, and I got a script from Will Estevez, who writes Thorn Squadron. What?
Just talk to the mic, not at me.
And I got Grant's script for God Says Hi, and I read Thorn Squadron, and I responded to Grant's email saying, "This is amazing, I love space." And I was like, oh no. Oh, Grant, your script's good too. I'll do it.
It was more about the shame in misscripting that led us to work together, because it wasn't that good of a story, but she felt so indebted because of the absolute embarrassment of writing the wrong person.
I was embarrassed for 20 whole pages, and then everything was fine.
And it was
so
funny.
You first came together through Reddit for God Says Hi, an earlier comic. And then
it was my first full issue script, and it wasn't that good. And
neither was my art, so it's fine.
That's why it's funny in retrospect. It's like, oh yeah, that's kind of like Training Wheels book.
Yeah.
And it was funny because at the time, Alaire and Toben weren't married, so she's like, if you need any other lettering stuff, my boyfriend's really good.
My boyfriend knows how to put letters on the pages. And then he didn't pick him.
So I had already met a very nice letterer named Nikki Sherman, who is still working and now is more of a writer, and she's very good. But I already asked Nikki if she wanted to letter this book, so I couldn't.
Dang, dude.
But I was like, hey, Alaire's boyfriend, do you want to design a little title graphic? He was like, yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm actually still proud of that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that one's really good.
And the credit page looked really good, too.
Yeah.
And then there was a Wolverine fan comic that you had Toben letter, I think.
Yeah, I think that was our first official one.
And that's how I met Martina.
Oh,
really?
I didn't realize that Martina colored that. Okay.
You guys go way back too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
So yeah, the whole Sidequest team is basically people I knew and enjoyed before, and then on a whim, I just reached out to Stephanie Cook, who's amazing, and I was like, "Do you want to help edit this?
Do you want to redline everything I've done, please? Make it good.
What I did wrong, so I can fix it, which is everything." And she was like, "Yeah, I guess so." and she's been invaluable to the team so far. And Brenda, I knew because we became friends because I went to her comic shop, and
Aw,
she's an awesome graphic designer. So yeah, it's the whole SideQuest team is just prior people.
there you go. Prior
Nice.
people.
So in terms of Martina, whom you've mentioned, did the coloring for the book, she's been involved from the beginning.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Stephanie as well, Stephanie Cook.
Yeah, she was the one who kind of gave me guidance in shaping the first script. Because with most starting writers, and I speak from experience too, you write this thing and you're like, "This is great. This is perfect. I don't need to change anything." And you
Barf.
hand this to someone who like is a very good editor and a very good writer in her own right, and she's like, this needs to change. You can make this better. You can do this. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything. Thank you for saving this thing.
Yeah, critique is very important, and so is editing.
Oh my gosh.
Toben can tell you so many tales about writers that don't edit their scripts. Ugh. I don't know if he'll do that now, but
And so, Grant, did you wait until you had like the first issue completed before you started looking for people, or like what part? Where were you in the process when you first started to assemble the SideQuest team?
Well, I had recently been fired from my job as a bank teller, which was awful.
I don't know
You
that
seem
that's
ill-suited
actually
for
what
that.
happened.
I
Well,
didn't know
is
you
it
got
someone that-
fired.
Oh yeah, I was not good because
As
I was
someone that
interested.
doesn't know you at all, I said sorry to interrupt. I said as someone that doesn't know you at all, you seem ill-suited for that.
Very much so. 'Cause
Me no count good.
well, I suck at math, and I like my my interest was talking to the people and like working on relationships and stuff like that. And they're
Oh.
like, you need to sell more credit cards, and I was like, I can't do that.
Please don't make me do
Yeah,
this.
I can't sell these people. I like more stuff they don't need. It doesn't work that way. And I just been like in the downtime at the bank, I had a notebook just full of notes, and then I kind of cobbled that stuff together. And after about a month of being depressed and unemployed, I was offered a contract to moderate some panels at the Grand Rapids Comic Con, and I met a couple professionals who were very encouraging. And that kind of lit a fire under my ass. And I was like, okay, so I want to make this a thing. Who have I worked with before that I enjoyed? And like Tobin and Alaire were on that list, and Martina was on the list. And I hadn't worked with Brenda before, but I liked her stuff from when she worked at Vault of Midnight. And you know, I find it's easiest to create stuff with people you like and people you trust. And especially with Tobin and Alaire and Martina, like I've come to really trust their creative instincts in like all facets of this. It's not even funny how much, like for instance, I had this one script page that was like 7 or 8 panels, just an ungodly amount of panels for a sequence, and Alaire's like, I'm not doing that. That won't work. And then she like made it so it looked so much better. And with Tobin, he'll have an idea for something. Like there's in the third issue, there's a sequence of all 3 characters like saying one thing. And I was like, yeah,
Oh,
make
yeah,
one
we went back
balloon,
and
many arrows. And he's like, that's dumb. I don't think that'll work right. And then he rejiggered it so it looks so much better. And it's just stuff like that where, you know, it leads to a very strong bit of being comfortable with people. And I think that really helps make this book as good as it is.
Great. So, Alaire, my children are, I think, murdering each other right now downstairs. So,
Aw, that's so
if
sweet.
you hear any yelling in the background, that's them just
Lord of the
hurting
Flies.
each other on a Saturday.
Well, if you see our house shake, it's because Cyrus has woken up.
Yeah. Leviathan.
Okay. The joys of trying to do this, you know, at home, in any event. But Alaire, I was going to ask you in terms of when you came on board and your approach to the line work and the artwork in it, and in particular the character design. You know, did Grant give you a strong sense of who he saw these characters as, and how did you come up with. So, I mean, I love the designs of the characters. I mean, Graken in particular. If I mispronounce any of the names, that's intentional.
I don't know how to pronounce any of their names either.
It's D&D.
Yeah.
That design in particular, they seem very unique. I mean, I really like fantasy style stories. I never played D&D as a kid. I didn't start till 4 years ago. Friends of mine had a game night and they played a Game of Thrones board game, and I thought I was going to hang out with some friends for like an hour or two. It was 7 hours. I didn't get home till like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then I said I'm never playing that again. But they said, "Oh, did you want to play D&D?" And I said I always wanted to as a kid, but I never had friends that played. So the past 4 years now, we get together once a month.
Yay.
So I really like
That's awesome.
D&D. I really, and as I've played, I've read more, fantasy style stories. But still, I find the characters in Sidequest very unique. The look of them, it's one of the things I really, really enjoy about reading the story. So I'm interested in terms of like, how did the design come about? What was your approach to it? And do you, drawing a story like this, do you like get into it? Do you like it? Or is it just like, Grant sent me more pages?
With anyone else, I'd probably say, you know what? Are you happy with it? Great. That's fine. But I really liked the script that Grant sent me, and I liked the idea, and Grant gave me basically his fan casting of each character. So I was like, oh, well, that's easy. It just has to look like this person a little bit. And then their outfits and stuff, it was just, what kind of costumes do I like in fantasy? Okay, they get that costume, but I have to make it simple enough that I can redraw it, 200 times. So, but like when you look at the first designs, they look a little bit different than what they do now, because after a while, if you draw the same character over and over, that's how you get to know them. And they may change a little bit throughout that period of time. So I look back at my old reference sheet. I'm like, yeah, Yolwyn doesn't look like this anymore. She's a lot cuter now. Graken pretty much looks the same. But yeah, just Grant gave me really good references, which is always appreciated. And then he didn't give me crap about anything, which is also nice. And so we began.
I did save a bunch of like the black and white when you were working on the head busts of the variations of like, say, Greken's horn.
Oh yes.
Setup and like Uhak's eyes. Like eventually, it's really cool to see those things and then see how good she is with them now, and like how it's weird to think if anyone else tries to do this, it wouldn't look the same.
It'd probably look better, but it wouldn't look the same.
One of the other things I appreciate in terms of like the approach to the panel layout, it's a quick read. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. You certainly want to look. Martina's colors have a lot to do with that too. Like it's a world that feels lived in and feels new at the same time. It's not too dark. It's not all like bright pastels. Like it feels like a real setting, which I think is a little bit different than a lot of other fantasy books on the market in terms of the colors of it. But the panel layouts as well. It's like it moves along very nicely, which I think makes it enjoyable to go through. Like I think I've read each issue 2 or 3 times now. Going through them. Like I said, I really enjoy really enjoy it. But so how do you in terms of like Alaire with the panel layouts and then Toben coming in and lettering, do you two like work together a lot at all, or is it Alaire does her portion of it, sends it over to you, Toben, and you're like, all right, now I'm going to see how everything's set up, or do you guys work in conjunction? How does that dynamic work when you're both doing the art and lettering on a book?
Well, so these issues have a lot of stuff packed into them. So a lot of pages will have like 6 panels and 6 characters in them. So I have to make all the panels fit and then make everyone who is important speaking in the panel. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like with indie comics, that's kind of a necessity because with the nature of Kickstarter, either it, passes or it doesn't, either it gets made or it doesn't, rather. So I do my best to just incorporate the most important part of that panel, the most important people, and then leave room for lettering for Toben. If there's no room for lettering, then art gets covered up and it looks kind of unprofessional. So we don't typically work together, though. It's kind of like, okay, my lines get sent to Martina. I email her directly, and then I don't know where she sends it after that. Either probably to Grant, I think. And then Toben picks it up after that. So I never see Martina's stuff until after Toben puts it into a PDF, and I'm like, whoa!
I keep forgetting about that like an idiot.
So, I think a lot of it is just fast paced because the panels are probably, they're smaller. The bigger the panel, the more time it takes to get through it, and the more dramatic typically big panels are. But yeah, I think the pacing's good though. Yes, Grant packs a lot of info in there, but like it's all valid. It's all important. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Toben's lettering as well does a lot for it. I mean, everything is in terms of especially the interconnected or the connected bubbles. They all flow really well. Nothing ever gets in the way. It's a good font for it. It's not like too overwrought in terms of like some fantasy books. It's too flowery, and because of the nature of this story, I think that wouldn't work as well. Although I know very little about lettering, that's why I recently interviewed like a bunch of letterers to find out more.
Which was so fun.
Yeah,
lettering
really cool.
Gauntlet.
Toben was nice enough to take part, which I really appreciated. But what overall do you, in terms of the things that you look at once you've gotten the book, Toben, and you're thinking about where to put everything, or like how you're going to design the SFX, like what goes into that in terms of this book in particular?
Yeah, there's let's see. So when choosing the font that I picked, I had been wanting to use for a long time, and that's typically what often happens is I'll become aware of a font and go, oh, I really want to do something with this. And then it's basically like whatever the next project somebody approaches me with, I'll go, all right, well, it's time to do that. But with that one, it was interesting because it's not the default version. I had to manipulate it a lot because I think it's really tall normally, and I had to like shrink it and then squish it a little bit. So it looks very different than how it would be if you found it on the internet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
So that's fun. We could do that in a newsletter or something. Talk about that. And then a lot of the actual like balloon design and stuff was thinking about just trying to get away from like cleaner shapes, because by having more diverse balloon shapes, you can do a little bit more artistically with those shapes rather than just like the clean edges, I guess. I don't know if I'm describing that very well. But when it comes to sound effects, Grant and I go back and forth about this quite a lot, because my philosophy with my own books, I'm very hesitant to put a lot of sound effects in, mostly because as a reader of comics, I'm like, I know what this sounds like, right? Sometimes, most of the time now, sound effects get in the way for me. And so I don't do that very much in my own work. But so when I approach things like Grokken's magic or, punches or that kind of stuff, it's really like, is this supposed to be a very like impactful scene? If that's the case, then I'll try to match the tone through the sound effect. So, one of the examples is when Grokken yells "get off." We went back and forth like 4 or 5 versions, and I was like, it's not quite there. Like there's not enough emotion in this yet. It needs to be a little bit messier. It needs to be a little bit like anger. There needs to be a little more darkness in this or something like that. Whereas something in like issue 1 with the yoink, I think that was something I put in because I was like, no, this is the kind of world we're in, right? If it's D&D, there's that level of humor that has to be evident somewhere in that kind of stuff. And so that, of course, is a little bit more like 60s Batman style, right? Like that kind of typical sound effect. So it really is, is this scene like emotionally heavy or is it lighter? In which case that'll dictate things. If it's action, um, is it a sword that's hitting? That'll look different than a punch, which will look different than a spell, all that kind of stuff. So it's really trying to match an aesthetic of, this should look integrated into the art rather than something that's just like stamped on top of it. And there you go, because Grant wanted that, so it's done.
Well, I mean, that's why I find all of that, fascinating in terms of those types of decisions that go into it, like some of the minutia of that to get the sound, the look of it just right. I really, appreciate that. To talk a little bit about the specifics, we did kind of like a big overview in the beginning, and we can, cut out some of this if it gets, I don't want to get too spoilery, but there's a lot in terms of issue 3 that happened with Grokken in particular, and especially the end of issue 3. Was there anything in terms of, you've now your 3rd issue with Sidequest, was there anything that you went back and forth on in terms of those decisions, in terms of what, with what happened to Grokken, with essentially becoming human for a little bit, and Derek at the end, what happens to him? Was there anything that, like, was there an evolution to it, or were you always just, this is the story I want to tell, this is how it has to happen? Grant?
In my dumb brain, when I'm doing like the outlines and stuff, I always have these specific story beats in my head, and I'm always trying to make sure that there's a way to get to them and move away from them. And that's something that I'm still trying to learn how to do better. But like once you hit the certain beats, it's easier to transition through that stuff when you have people like Alaire and Martina and Toben just massaging the transition. And that sounds kind of weird. I'm sorry for the motion. That didn't help anything.
No, we're keeping it.
The video may not go out. Well, you never know. We don't know what we're doing yet. Look, this is all new. We're just trying things. But no, I get that. I get that idea when you have a story and you're like, oh, I just had this idea, and this just looks cool, or this would get across what it is I want to get across. Now, how do I get there? And then because of that, what happens next? And yeah, I understand that aspect of it, sure.
And it's fun because one thing about, like, I grew up in the 90s, and I love creative teams that spend a lot of time on books. And one of the things I love the most, sorry if you hear my dog whining, the children went outside to play, and he wants to go outside to play, but he can't. I love seeding, like putting thing in one issue and then having it pay off a couple issues down the road.
Yes. And
we put the seed in the first issue, and Greg got bit. And having that actually pay off just made me ridiculously happy, because Alaire was like, what does he look like? I'm like, Ron Weasley.
I was so excited. It's like, yes, let me draw this huge dweeb.
So it's all about patience, and that's a part of comics I still like struggle with. Even when I'm writing stuff, it's like you can't do everything that you want to do in one issue, or it doesn't make sense and it doesn't come off well. So spreading stuff out, and again, working up to the beats that you like and getting away from those beats, and it's real tough, man.
Has there been anything, and I know Toben, you talked about it with some of in terms of like a sound effect or some other decision, but because you also write comics with Crown and Anchor and some of the other things you've worked on, has there ever been a moment in collaboration where it's like, hey, Grant, you sent this script and maybe you want to think about this, or has it always just been Grant's the writer and that's how it is? I mean,
there'll be little stuff that I chime in on, so the like next issue, get this man a tissue, that was me. I'll take credit for that happily.
It was awesome.
And there might be, stuff like yoink. So there'll be like little things where I feel like, this is my domain. I can add a little bit of sauce.
There
or
was
seasoning.
Derek's lyrics in the car.
Oh, right, that one.
We had to
Yes,
change the
that.
lyrics, so Toben made new ones.
Grant, you can
Wait,
tell the story. I don't remember it.
What is this? What is this?
We
Is
have
this when
to.
Dark is back and he's driving in his car?
Issue
Yeah.
2, when he's driving to work or back from work. Back.
Yeah, in issue 2, we have him singing a song by a band called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And due to extenuating circumstances we are currently not able to discuss, we had to change some of the lyrics, and I couldn't think of anything. And Toben just came up with this thing, and it was like, "This is great. We're using this 100%."
Meatball sweats.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's Meatloaf, isn't it? Meatloaf
Is it Meatloaf Sweats?
I don't know. Where's our number 2? It's probably upstairs.
Shoot.
I don't remember. But
you could read
yeah,
it.
did it print with those lyrics?
The Kickstarter, yes.
Okay, so there
We're
you go.
keeping them.
Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, it's like this is Grant's thing, and as much we influence it to some degree, but I'm not going to be like
this much.
I don't think that this should be here because I don't know where he's going with it. And to be like brutally honest, I don't read the script until I'm lettering it.
It's true.
Actually, no, I don't.
No, he doesn't read the script at all. And I'll read the script and be like, Toben,
Yeah.
you gotta read it.
Alaire's over there like crying, and I'm like, yeah, well, when he pays me, I'll read it.
And then when he gets to lettering, he's like, Alaire, this happened. I'm like, I know.
I know it happened.
I read this
knew
6
it.
months ago.
That happened. I was lettering issue 1, and I was like, okay, it's another fantasy story, great. And then the end sequence of issue 1 started happening before my eyes. Literally, like I'm pulling up it page by page, and I was like, oh my goodness, and then it ended, and I was like, okay, yeah. This is
Grant is like the wizard of cliffhangers, good cliffhangers that like keep you wanting the next.
Schmuckbait.
It's not. It's just There's such great impactful like endings to each issue.
All right, I did this because I like Sidequest. I do not like Grant. I've made it very clear. So I'm going to end this if you start saying nice things about Grant. All right.
Well, he is our boss in
okay.
this situation. So
Yeah.
I'm
Out of this
hosting
situation, he's our equal, and we make fun of him a lot. We say terrible things about him that he cannot repeat on this show.
I talked about my own experience recently with D&D, but do you guys? Oh, that just fell out of my ear.
Good catch.
Oh, embarrassing.
And now my video is paused.
no, we see
No,
it. Oh,
come
goodbye.
back.
Oh,
What? There we go.
It's paused for me, so I don't know why it does that. Yeah, so
I thought the kids had
you
won.
guys, what was that?
I thought the kids had won.
Oh no, they've taken Jimmy.
They still may. What's your own experience? Have you guys played? Do you play?
Yes.
Or other
Yes.
types of role-playing type of games?
I mean, I've been playing JRPGs since I was a wee lass, and then I think I first played D&D when I was 19. So that was like
Yeah, we were
2010. It wasn't D&D.
you were 19 in 2010.
I believe so.
That's
Yeah.
about right. Yeah.
2009, I was 18. Anyways, but we played Pathfinder first. That was my first exposure. And then, and then we played 5th edition after that.
In like 27, 18.
Yeah.
We were
there
very
was,
late.
Yeah, so I had great experiences, so I want to keep playing. And yeah, it just makes sense. If I like video games, I'm going to like D&D and vice versa. So
The problem with D&D,
it's the people.
it's the people. That's exactly. I was like, you need friends. You need friends that you want to see often.
You need reliable friends.
You need friends that don't have
consistent friends.
kids.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Everyone's having kids.
Yeah.
Adorable, wonderful children.
And then I'm essentially doing my PhD in D&D,
Yeah.
but I don't play D&D anymore. Mostly because I'm always like, I want to do this thing. You guys want to play? And then nobody else puts an effort to like contribute, right? So I'm always the one putting in tons and tons of effort of like, I'll DM, I'll organize the date, I'll find the place, I'll get the snacks because I want to play so bad. And then I also haven't like played with great players, if that makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're on their phone. they just like
they're not good at role playing.
they're not good role players. They don't want to be a
Like
character.
you have to want to be your character, right? Like we have also been blessed with wonderful D&D podcasts that we just love, and so that has also influenced the way we play. Like I love using character voices to get into role play, or I like doing just really dumb things and seeing what happens. And Toben just tells really good stories, and he makes them really fun. And yeah,
Awesome.
it's disappointing when you're like, okay, guys, let's go. And they're like, I'm going to be neutral.
yeah.
I don't know what decision I want to make. And it's like, well, what would your character do?
But they don't know because
They don't know.
They haven't made it.
Because
clear.
they don't care.
Anyways, but DMing is fun. There's nothing really like being a DM that I found elsewhere. Maybe writing comics a little bit, but there is something very unique about presenting a situation to a group of 4 people and not knowing at all what they're going to do. And then you just have to roll with it. That's why I think it's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
I recently met someone when my wife and I took a short vacation, and this guy Larry has a company where they will basically do corporate training, where they will come in for your corporation and run like a one-shot D&D like, I don't know if they're using 5th edition, but a D&D like campaign to train like employees and do team building and do those types of exercises. And I was sitting there talking about it, and I was like, this is the best idea I have ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paid DMs became a huge business during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it probably was before, but it really rose into prominence during the pandemic as well of doing that.
Yeah.
Grant, do you play? You did play, didn't you?
I played for well, it's funny because Jimmy, I was kind of like you. I got into it.
Gordon.
Like, I know it's terrible, and he just wants to go outside, but you can't, man. I got into it in my mid-30s. I worked at Interlochen Center for the Arts.
It was like 40 years ago.
Give or take.
Back when I was a lad.
And I was lucky because all the people I worked with, like, they were all people who were into the arts. Like, they were either artists or writers or musicians or whatever. So them getting into their characters made it a lot more engaging. Our problem was we had a DM that was more interested in combat than like character development.
Oh,
it's a tricky balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't
tough.
fun. But it's, I don't know. I feel like everyone on the team actually likes D&D and role playing.
Yeah, Martina's
crazy about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
her art. Oh man.
Yeah, she is playing Pathfinder, and her fantasy work is just so good.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are dismissive of color artists a lot of time because they're like, he's coloring line, what? Yeah. But like, not only is she a wizard with colors, but like, I'm so sorry, Gordon. I wish I could help you. But like, her own line work and stuff is incredible. Like, I very much recommend anyone to hire her as a line artist too. Because she's amazing. And,
but not really, because then she wouldn't be able to work on our books.
Yeah, it's not yet. Don't hire her yet.
Like 2026.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Don't tell her we said that, because we don't want her to take any other jobs.
Yeah, but it's everyone involved in this book like loves RPGs, and thankfully, like, I think that's fully evident through each person's contributions. And like Brenda nailing the D&D manual look for the covers, which, dude, the covers are, I think, what I get more excited about than like the actual. Well, that's a lie.
Which is fair. It's fair.
But those credit pages, though.
Oh, dang.
Credit pages are sick.
That's Grant's favorite. Yeah.
I did back issue 4, and at a level where I could get physical copies, because I only have digital now. Physical copies of all.
Physical copies are great.
Mm-hmm.
So also, I need it for a spell for that I'm performing on Grant.
I will make sure to place a hair in each book.
Please turn Grant into a pineapple.
No.
I mean, he's dressed like one.
Oh no!
Why didn't you wear your green beanie, Grant?
Yeah.
This is
part of the pineapple
beanie.
gang.
That's not green.
Yeah, it is.
You're colorblind, man. Oh, now it's green.
It's green. All right,
there
yeah.
You go. There.
Does that mean you're ordering a pizza today? Are we funded?
We
Are we?
Yeah, if it funds today, I have to eat a pineapple pizza. But
All by yourself. You can't have Gordon help you. That doesn't count.
no, I don't want to give him too much
Do
human food.
you guys have anyone have a favorite character that they played with in terms of that they created for D&D? Like a favorite, like this was the name, it was a, paladin, whatever.
I've had so many that I based characters off of them. And like Kraken was the first character I ever played when I didn't understand how to play a wizard. I actually gave him a giant warhammer called Dawn Crusher, and he kept trying to use it and like not use magic. And and I got commissioned Alaire to do one of the characters I made a couple of years ago, and it turned out really with the feather cape.
Yes. Yeah, if Hawkeye was like D&D, and I mean Kate Bishop Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure that today. That's a super cool piece.
I have a character that I typically play called Auriga, and she's typically a cleric, and she's been forever a dwarf because I really like dwarves. But I'm used to doing one-shots with Toben, so I will just create weird characters for my own enjoyment. I made a Aarakocra flamingo fighter who was like 80 years old, a retired adventurer, and she was just like, "Tally ho, young man," and all that. And I made a character modeled after our cat named Coconut, but I named him Peanut Butter, and he was cross-eyed, and he had a glockenspiel, and he woke a giant badger, and he died. That was fun.
Giant badger squished him.
And then another one I was kind of proud of. Oh, it was a Simic hybrid. It was this elven lady who was obsessed with gambling, and she got into so much debt she decided to just gamble her head, her whole body, and she lost, so she got her head lopped off, and then someone found her and sewed a dog's head onto her.
That spit acid
at people.
Naturally.
But she glamored herself as this beautiful woman because her real form was terrifying. So very, very flirty until she took off, the mask, and there's a dog that spits venom. I have one last character that I'm very proud of. His name is Bobo Quimby. You might have seen him on Twitter, but he's a gnome warlock. And he carries around this urn with a genie in it. And we had this one shot with two friends who had never played D&D before. And I was the one who was the quest giver. And basically, Bobo wanted to gather all of these different genies together so that he could be granted a wish to take over that plane and just be an evil warlock. But we died. Bobo died. We all died.
No, they all died.
I didn't get to have world domination. So that was really fun. And Toben has so many really cool characters that he never plays because he never plays.
I've only... Well, yeah.
Oh, you've been Exodia.
Yeah, I've done two characters. One was a half-orc barbarian. I really like half-orcs, but he was a really boring character. And then I did a tiefling sorceress called Exodia, so that I could yell Exodia obliterate every time I dropped fireball on people.
If you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I wrecked this one boss. We did a one-shot with this one group. And But yeah, I think last time I checked, I think I have 14 characters that I've rolled that I've never played.
And they're all super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, one time I was Trinks from Crown and Anchor. That was fun. But I was really mean. I was really sassy.
When was that one?
That was with Dallin and Madison.
Right. Yeah, that was a fun.
So another reason I love Grokken so much is because he kind of reminds me of my friend Dallin's character, because he played a dragonborn wizard and he was hilarious, and all these
very much like Grokken.
All these things happened, and I was just like, yeah. So Grokken is my favorite character, for many reasons. But we need to bring back Dawn Crusher,
Maybe help.
Barkus Hammer. Dawn
It'll be a gift, and they'll be like, "This is its actual name." He's like, "I can't say that. Let's call it Dawn Crusher."
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love the creativity. The group I play with is none of us really played before, except for the guy, our friend Dan, that does DMing. So it's it's an interesting dynamic. And now it's been 4 years, but in the very beginning, trying to figure it out, playing with people that hadn't played before, and I hadn't played before, and learning it and seeing what everyone's strength is has been a lot of fun. It is a very, it's a good time, but also you feel like you learn a lot about the people you're playing with in terms of how they approach their characters and how they approach role playing. Yeah, I encourage everyone to at least try it.
Yes. I mean, yeah, you're all telling a story together, and things never go how you want because everyone has all of these ideas of their own and ways they would, and dice. Gosh.
Dice have ideas of their own.
Yes. Freaking dice. But it's just really fun to see the outcomes, and sometimes you want an outcome, but something else happens, and usually it's better than what you thought. So good times.
Yeah, that's true. So I know that I think I saw, I don't know if it was on the Kickstarter campaign page for Sidequest number 4 or on Twitter, saying that there was only limited things you could show because of how spoilery everything was. So where do things stand with the book, with issue 4 right now in terms of completion, like in terms of what's done, what still has to be done? Okay.
The cover is done.
And then what can you tell us about what we can expect from issue 4 without giving anything away, if anything?
Oh, well.
Next question.
Seriously, every single page is a spoiler.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about this, and we're like, we have tons of back matter. We don't need to say anything.
It's really tough because this is the one that we're waiting for to say oh, this is the significance of the ring. Oh, this is why they are trying to get Barca and why everyone hates him. And this is why he's doing stuff. And this is the one that I think I was most excited to get out, because don't you just love it when you're reading a book and you get to the point where it's finally the exposition time, but you've been waiting so patiently for it. And they're like, well, this is this thing, and this is this thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, of course.
Yeah.
And
page 1700 of a Brandon Sanderson book.
Yes, where they finally just explain everything without breaking a sweat.
No more dancing around and playing the pronoun game and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is, it's going to be really good. I'm really excited for this to be out in the world and stuff, because I don't know, it might be my favorite issue. So.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be one of my favorites too. Until issue 5 probably, but
my favorite's still issue 1.
Yeah, issue 1's so fun. Yep.
And so where do things stand in terms of the scripts done, right? So is any of the artwork done or started?
So it's gonna be a little while before I get started on issue 4 because I'm still finishing Crown and Anchor book 2.
In the initiative order, Grant rolled a really poor initiative.
Yeah.
For issue 4.
But the problem is, so did I when I kickstarted Crown and Anchor book 2.
Yeah,
I should have waited.
We're almost done.
See, with book 1,
you have an issue and a half left to Crown.
I had 4.5 issues, and then we kickstarted it, so there was 0 wait time. And then this one, it's let's do the middle of issue 8. And I have a child now, whereas before we did not. So I'm just I kind of messed up, but
Sidequest goes fast because she's not doing
screen tones.
Yeah, the same amount of stuff as Crown and Anchor. So
I'm still putting in my best line work juice, but I'm not screen toning. Thank goodness.
And once the pages start rolling, I know, Alaire, you're critical of yourself, but you pretty much nail it on the first go.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, everything is great, and then Martina just goes, all right, bazam, and then it's no notes. And then it's no notes.
That's right.
Once the ball's rolling, it goes pretty fast. And the script is done and edited. With issue 5, I'm working on it right now, and it's taking forever because I tweeted about this last night. I don't like doing mean things to characters that I like, and I just had to write a scene that I didn't want to do it, but I had to because stuff needs to be addressed. I'm sorry for being super vague, but I don't like it, and I had to do it, and it's everything's gonna get done, and it's sad and stupid sad stuff is happening.
Just pretend the character is somebody else. Like all of my characters, I refer to as Grant in my script. And zip right along.
Well, it's funny because I don't like Grant either.
Oh,
So maybe I'll just do that too.
Look how much we have in common.
There you go.
You've already mentioned Crown and Anchor. I loved Crown and Anchor Volume 1. And that is another. It's such a fun story. It's such a fun book. There's so much packed into it. And I don't want to keep you guys too long on a Saturday afternoon, but just in terms of anything else you're working on, like Crown and Anchor or Toben, whatever you might be working on next. I know you've been lettering
everything.
Stuff. But what else are you? And Grant, what else are you guys working on? What else do you have coming out soon?
Grant, you start.
Oh, well, we did Yule, and that was a lot of work.
Oh, right. That was a cursed
That was
book.
finally resolved. And some people got it in time for Christmas.
Oh my gosh. I love how the book turned out. I love everything about it. However, each step was cursed. Like we couldn't get like several things completed without something else going wrong at any stage. And it's so frustrating. And I really like this book. And sometimes I think about doing a second volume with it. I'm like, I gotta do everything differently. And it just can't be the same way. And I know two Canadian heartthrobs that already volunteered to do a story for it. So that makes it a little easier.
Probably.
Yeah.
You already said you're gonna. You can't back out now.
That's okay. We hate Christmas, so I'm excited to write Christmas.
We do not. How dare you? You meant to say Santa.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh my gosh, he did not mean Christmas. We're Christians for beans' sake. No, he meant commercialized Santa. We don't like commercialized Santa. We like presents. We like Christmas.
Well, other than that, I'm just
That's why you have me, honey.
Yeah, I'm writing little short pieces on my site as I chip away at the other things I'm trying to work on, and I don't know, just a lot of stuff that one needs to be patient for.
Yeah,
patience is an underappreciated resource in comics, indie comics.
Yes.
What else are you working on?
Well, we know I'm working on Sidequest and Crown and Anchor, and there's going to be a third thing, but I can't talk about it yet.
Oh, right.
But okay, I did do some illustrations for a D&D module, not an official one. This is one for the DM's Guild called Uncaged Goddesses, and there's 21 adventures in this book, and they all involve a D&D goddess reimagined. I did one for Alaire, the goddess of illusion, and the writer who wrote the adventure for it is like incredible, and I was like, I am so excited to do this. So I drew her, and I drew one other spot illustration. That's coming out probably sometime this month on DM's Guild, but it's a 300-page book. Okay, it's worth getting. You have all of these amazing artists on board and all these writers. And I just looked through the PDF recently, and it's really cool. Yeah, so that was the other thing. I completed that in like October. So to me, it's not new, but it's technically going to be a new thing. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. What are you working on?
That sounds great.
I'm lettering.
What are you writing?
Oh, I'm not writing anymore.
Okay.
I stopped. I was like, I'm going to write comics again, 2022. I did it for 3 days. I was like, no, the story's not ready yet.
Okay, well, what about... Okay, he's still working on Pilgrim Sturge.
Pilgrim Sturge
and Emulator.
will happen.
Yeah.
Emulator will happen. Just like, they got scooped up after, right? Emiliana started doing something else. Mateo is like always busy for good reason. But that stuff will happen. Crown Anchor is happening. there's other stuff that I've written, but
Yeah.
I don't super love the Kickstarter gauntlet. I know Grant, whenever he launches one, he's like, okay, I need to put on my adult diaper and just go take a nap because it's like so stressful. And I feel the same way. There's many nights during Emulator where I was like, I never want to do this again. I don't want to feel this way again. I hate this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
It was not fun listening to that and just being like, can you just calm down and just, it's gonna be okay.
Well, it's like the manifestation of all your worst fears.
Yeah,
It's true. And I did have a bit of that with Crown Anchor Book 2's Kickstarter because it was just a really weird Kickstarter.
It was very weird.
It was different than what I was used to. So I was like, yeah. But like, yeah, Tobin's got like some great stories under his belt that just need a team behind it. And we're just not there yet, but they're really good and we like them a lot.
If I was bolder, I would do more of my own stuff, but stuff that I'm lettering. So Beastlands was just announced that it's coming out through Dark Horse, so that's really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Another book that I've lettered, this one might have slipped under, but I just saw it last week. It's called Juniper. It's coming out through Scout. It's really pretty. Go look that one up.
Yeah, that's coming out through Scoot, right? Their younger imprint.
Is it? I wasn't sure.
Is it called Scoot?
Yeah,
that is so cute.
I thought
I
it
thought
was
you
just
just-
Canadian imprint.
No.
I thought you just said Scout wrong.
No Scooted Booted, eh? I didn't know they had a junior one. That's cool. If so, it makes sense.
Scout has a younger imprint. They had one, the Map Maker, I believe, was through Scoot, and they have another one. I just saw a cover page or something promoting Juniper. I didn't know if it was Scout or if it was the Scoot imprint because it looked like it was for why everyone's laughing every time I say it.
Because it's funny.
I had no idea
I'm not
this was going to
making it up.
happen.
I'm pretty sure Scout's younger, like YA or middle grade imprint is Scoot.
I mean, it makes sense.
For some
Boom
reason-
is Kaboom.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
It's cute.
Yeah. That looked really fun.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really fun.
I've been
book.
working that on a long time.
Yeah,
for a
we've
long
been
time.
pumping out a ton of issues of that. Sidekick for Hire.
Yeah.
Number 4.
That's on Kickstarter.
The side dish number 4s are both on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I'm sitting on?
There's one thing that you can't talk about yet. Maybe.
Oh yeah, that comes out in March.
We'll talk about a thing that's happening in March.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that that's happening, and I'm going to be more excited in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of slowed down a little bit November, December, but Sidequest, Sidekick,
You were on
all that other stuff.
what is it called? Journey to the Food Pyramid, top of the food
Yeah,
pyramid.
that's probably the other
Journey
newest
to the
one.
top of the food pyramid.
Chris Ochoa's Journey to the Top of the Food Pyramid.
Right.
I jumped in his letter for that. That was fun.
Another Kickstarter, right?
Yeah,
that,
it's so
that
pretty.
finished in December.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
You read that too, right?
Oh, there they are.
Whew. You guys froze for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yep. We thought something terrible happened.
No, the last one I mentioned is working with Chris on the Discordia universe.
Oh yeah.
I think
Oh,
Grant,
cool.
you read that one. That one's
Oh.
really fun. It's like really messed up horror, which I don't typically enjoy, but there's something very captivating about the world. Like it feels very D&D. I think that's it. It's very gothic D&D kind of stuff,
Yeah, it's really good.
which is fun.
Christopher.
So yeah, there's tons of stuff. I just never remember if I can talk about stuff or not. So yeah, lots going on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Man, all that stuff sounds great.
What are you doing, Jimmy?
I'm bullying Grant into being on whatever this interview is. To
Great.
Talk about Sidequest.
I'm a terrible creator because I don't like talking about my stuff for too long. I'm not good. I don't like it.
I get it. I mean, part of me gets it. I don't like it either. I mean, when I got my first job as an attorney, like you're on all the time because anybody you meet could be a potential client, and I hated that aspect of it. But it's just what you have to do, and you just get used to it. And so, and I see it a lot in comics. There's some people that are very good about promoting, getting everything lined up. But like Grant's not the only one who I've talked to before, and they're like, I don't want to talk about myself. I don't like promoting my stuff. And I'm like, well, you got a great story. You just have to. And if I'm gonna drag you kicking and screaming to talk about your stuff or give somebody a platform for it, I'm going to do it if I can.
Also-
I like stories. I've always been somebody that's gravitated more so to anything else, whether it's books or movies or television or just somebody talking, just to hear a good story. And I think Sidequest is a really, really good story. And I want people to read it. And so I want to read it. So, that's it. I'm just doing this, and I work as an attorney during the day, and then I interview people for Comic Book Yeti, and I have 2 kids, and they're running around hurting each other right now.
That is a lot. That's a lot of good things, though. Also, Grant, you've done like 6 Kickstarters, so just get over it and shamelessly promote because...
Yeah, how many have been projects we love? That's like always my goal.
Like
I don't
what,
care if
3
I
of
get
them?
funded. Was Yule one too?
Was you
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, and I didn't realize it, but Sidequest number 3 was one too.
There you go. So that's 4. Because I think number 2 wasn't, but number 1 was. Right?
I
1,
think
3.
number 1 was.
Was it?
I thought it was.
I thought it like didn't jump the horse, or that's not the saying.
No, that's totally.
I jumped a
the
horse.
It is
You
now.
know,
I'm
you got
gonna
to
say it all
scoot
the
to
time.
jump above the horse.
Give it a
Did that
scoot
thing
scoot so you
happen?
jump over
I
the
didn't
horse's
jump the
boot.
horse.
It's a very small horsey.
Where is your name on this project, Grant? Oh,
That's
there it
right
is.
there.
I don't have my glasses on.
Okay, let's look. 6 created. Boo-ba-doo-doo-doo-doo.
1, 2,
Whatever
3.
this is, this interview.
Oh,
just
1 and
is
2 were
chaos.
not.
See, this is
Oh.
now you get to see what our actual chat is basically the Racicot's king up on me.
It's true. Yeah.
That's because Grant's cognitive abilities aren't fast enough to keep up
Oh
with
my
us.
god!
Wow.
Well, it's a downside of aging so rapidly.
And U.S. Healthcare.
Oh no.
Oh,
Sorry,
man,
everybody.
Come on, guys. That hurt.
Hey, I know what it's like because, that's my homeland.
We can't
But-
all marry a Canadian.
Yeah. Oh, sorry guys. I'm off to better pastures.
I guess we could have. We just didn't.
Yeah, that's true. The option was always there.
You know.
It's always a possibility. All right. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about Sidequest or what you're doing or
I don't know.
comics in general?
Jimmy, what do you really want to know about Sidequest?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure we've just told you what we've been telling people already.
If
I
you
don't know.
like Sidequest, I'm going to promote other like RPG-ish books.
Okay.
Okay.
Go read Coda.
Oh.
Okay.
Go read Die, D-I-E.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then if you haven't, repent and then go read East of West.
Yes.
Okay.
Because East of West will
All
change your
right.
life.
Oh my gosh.
So, Coda, I don't have it in front of me. I'm operating on my
Oh,
memory.
no,
Back
we
me
will
up.
send
Coda
links.
is Simon Spurrier,
Simon Spurrier and
And-
Matthias Bargara.
Yeah.
right? And then Die is Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hahn.
Mhm.
And then East of West is Hickman and
Dragata.
Nick
Nick
Dragata.
Dragata.
Nick Dragata, right?
Mhm.
And then
All right.
also go read Birthright, because that's another one.
Yes.
That's very like Narnia, that kind
Yes.
of like world hopping.
That one's, yeah.
I'm almost done it now, finally. What's the other one that I always attribute to that?
To Birthright?
Yeah, it's one like Birthright of that vein.
I'm looking at our library. Skyward?
No, I don't remember. But
Or
that's,
I think it was
Hang on.
X-Men Reign of Terra by Mark Silvestri. I think it was the early 90s.
no, it's Seven to
Uh,
Eternity. That's the other one.
Oh.
that I recommend.
I mean, if you
Yes.
want to be
Seven
relevant.
Attorney. That's that's Remender
That's Remender.
and Jerome
Opena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, those ones.
That's something I want to do on this when we chat with Christian Grant is be like, hey, how deep does your like knowledge of comics go? Because mine's like this thin.
Mine's just all stupid stuff.
Aren't all comics
That's
just
what
stupid
comics
stuff that
are.
we love?
And I mean, what do you think is stupid stuff that's like not stupid stuff? Like you said, what do you mean by that?
I just rattled off an X-Men one-shot that I think 3 people read.
The other one was Gordon. The other one was Grant's
The other
dad.
was probably Rory as I dug it out. I was like, this is a bedtime story. Look, Wolverine's the only one that knows what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
There's a Marvel-sized hole in my comic knowledge. So when people find out that I like comics and I write for like 2 different websites that cover comic books, they always want to ask about Marvel comics or the movies, and I'm like, I've seen the movies and I like them, you know, they're fine, but I think I've read like one Marvel comic book, and
being a Marvel comic or a comic fan is a full-time job because you need to pay for it because you have to buy so freaking much, and you have to just spend so much time not reading what's current, but also going back like 20 years.
Yeah. But I like just watching the movies.
30 years at this point, right? We're in 2020. You got to go back into the 90s for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. I have nothing against it. It's just not anything I ever read as a kid. And then when I got back into reading comics in like 2008, it seemed daunting. So I stuck more with like Image books and indie comics, which were kind of more my jam.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
I like the indie stuff a lot better.
Yeah. And Marvel comics nowadays are, if you liked this storyline from the 90s, you'll like this. And that's not enjoyable.
That's why I don't read Spider-Man anymore.
And new comic readers aren't even born in the 90s now.
Right, that's why they can retell it. They're 30 years out.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, now that we've ended this on Attack of Marvel.
We love Marvel, we just don't like some things.
They're great.
We're tired.
They have a lot. I will say they have a lot of great writers and artists working for them right now. I mean, it's like got some killer people on their books.
When you have us back to talk about issue 5, I'll tell you the story of how I almost interned at Marvel.
Yeah, that's a good story.
There's your incentive to have us back.
Yeah,
I didn't know that like at all. So
well, Grant, you're not invited.
Okay, fine. I don't even want to go. I'm gonna take Gordon outside for issue 5.
Good.
All right. I gotta
take
go
your pineapple clothes.
How long are you keeping Gordon in that room?
Look, you guys.
This is just a bit. This whole I don't like pineapple.
It's funny because my daughter made this for me for my birthday, and like she painted it and she took it to like the pottery class, and it says Rory loves Dad.
Oh.
Do you get ceramics on your 55th birthday?
Yeah, that's the platinum birthday.
Oh, okay. And then you get your casket at 60.
Yes. We actually, as soon as this call is done, we have to go finish shopping.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Make sure you get nice lining because you'll be there for a while.
Yeah, it's gonna be a kiss coffin.
With a big tongue in it?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's full of Hershey Kisses.
That's the other. This could have gone 2 ways.
And we're going both of them. It's
where there's big wax lips on the other side of the lid.
Gross, with a tongue or something?
I'm sorry.
So many options.
Yeah.
This is why we don't talk.
Very disturbing.
We have to. We just text. Thanks for having us on the show, Jimmy.